What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Day1Radio right here on Live Hip Hop Daily. I'm Maurice Garland, your gracious co-host. Always, I'm joined by my man, Brandon Peters. What's going on with you, man?
What's happening, bro? Back for another week, man. Another interview. Hopefully another classic. You know how we do.
All right.
Yeah. For sure. So, man, this week we have, the Crown Prince in the building, man. Grand Rapids finest. One of Michigan's finest, man. An MC's MC. Some of y'all know him as The Fly. We know him as Willie the Kid. What's happening, brother?
Chilling, man. Good to be here, man. Good to be here. Appreciate y'all.
For the record, y'all. Hey, hold up. For the record, y'all going to hear a lot of and glass putting downs because everybody on this pod right now is a beer head. So that's what we doing.
That's some other levels, but we all fit. I'm here.
It's all good, man. It's all good, brother. So, I mean, let's get right into it, man. Recently you dropped, Capital Gains, man, and it is, been buzzing as one of the best releases in a minute. I feel like this year overall has been a good year for lyricism and hip hop, and I feel like your joint fits right in there in that mode of the joints that people are talking about is one of the best projects of the year.
Indeed. The beauty of that is I've always been on this island. You know what I'm saying? Like plenty of projects that I guess people would say fit into the mode of what's going on right now. It's good to see the culture start to take a turn. I hate that word culture is overused. It's good to see the community start to appreciate some of the things that I've been putting together for a long time. I always paid attention to lyricism. I always paid attention to detail when it comes to beat selection and matching tones. And a lot of the way sonically, though, a lot of the way the music is sounding right now, that always been my thing. It's been my calling card for a long time now. So it's good to see everything take that turn and what it is we do find its relevance, what's going on today.
Yeah, I think right now it's probably the happiest that I've seen grown men in hip hop in a long time. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious. Yeah, brothers 30 and up haven't been getting what they came to hear, came to see in about 10 years. And then it makes like the artist that's making the music now, they 30, 35 years old, 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But you're right. It's a time for adults with mortgages and real bills and kids to appreciate hip hop.
It's crazy though, because I legit don't feel like the music went anywhere. I feel like it's just more palatable now because of what we're dealing with in society. Plus, everyone's at home. You have time to think. If you are, if you were a young lady and you out with your furry sandals and your Snuffleupagus eyelashes, then you may not have time to listen. If you a brother out there, whatever your designer belt is, and your jeans falling down your ass, too tight to pull up over your ass.
Yeah,
you may not be into whatever, but I feel like because everything that's happening now with the pandemic, with racial injustice, with the election, with so much money being put behind these voter campaigns and all of that stuff, it just makes it cool to listen to music of substance. And we've seen that before. It's nothing new under the sun.
These things go in cycles. They go in cycles.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because 5 years from now, it's gonna be back to what people said it was 5 years ago. It's cycles. But I definitely think what's going on socially, what's going on in our communities, is definitely having an impact on the way people are being more patient with the music. Having more tolerance to sit down and listen. I definitely agree with you on that. Definitely.
Did you? I don't know how long it took you to record this project and when you started, but I'm sure you recorded some of it during the pandemic. Did you have that in mind as you were writing?
In certain moments. Like I spent the most part of my year in Michigan with building these companies. They would talk more about that through the interview. But while I was doing those things, I was thinking about the music I was going to produce. And I was excited to kind of, broadcast and use some of the inspiration from the movies we were making and put it into the music when I got a moment to sit down. That moment became a forced moment via COVID. So when the COVID happened, I was like, well, you gotta sit your ass down now. You know what I'm saying? So while I was sitting there, I started producing the album and putting records together and writing and getting these ideas. And definitely the climate, the COVID was definitely the backdrop while I was writing. But one thing I always telling myself that the concepts and the themes that I'm dealing with, they're not dependent on us going through a pandemic to be relevant. You know what I'm saying? So I used that inspiration, but still allowed that to be, a universal backdrop for what I was doing.
So how was that for you? Because I mean, I can imagine an artist like yourself, like a lot of your rhymes are coming from, things that you've picked up and learned through your travels and just your daily interactions and the things that you're doing. So it's like, of course, you're always gonna have something to report on to your fans, but it's like when you were literally like, damn, I have to stay in the house. Shit, I'm damn near staying in one room in my house some days. You know what I'm saying? So it's like how did that impact the the writing and creative process for you?
I think I was excited about the idea that if I put a complete deliberate effort into this project, unapologetically, no holding back, no dumbing down, no filtering, just do exactly what I want to do, people will be able to digest it right now. Because now is a time where people are thirsty for information. You know what I mean? Social media is on fire right now. The news is on fire right now. So people are like sponges right now more than ever. So much so that content doesn't even last 2 or 3 days. It's old already. You know what I mean? So I know right now if I drop something that's pretty dense, that's pretty heavy, like a full hearty meal, if I drop that, people gonna really sit there and eat the meal. They're gonna really go through that. They're not gonna pass it off too quick. They're gonna go and it's gonna stick around for a while. Because we dropped capital gains and like that. I mean, that first weekend we did really great, but all the numbers peaked back up at the end of the next week when we dropped the music video. Like people are still sticking with the project. But I've dropped projects before where, it's hot and all my fans and listeners supporting it for 3 days. And then that's it. You know what I'm saying? But capital gains has been like peaking and rising, for the last 2 weeks. So I think, I definitely had that in mind when I put that together, and it worked exactly how I thought it would.
Have there been times in the past where you were creating and either, on purpose or subconsciously you felt like you dumbed some things down so they could appeal to certain audiences?
The only time I've done that was when I was on a major. And the label was suggesting that we provide a certain type of product that fits the model that they're used to pitching, for radio and for PR and things of that nature. So I made some adjustments to fit the form of what was going on. But the moment I got out of that space, I was able to control my own destiny and, and manage my career the way I wanted to. I never did that again. But certain features, certain beats, certain moments, of course, you accommodate and make sure it's appropriate for where it's going. But I learned how over time, I guess it was me growing up too. I was a kid when I first started this stuff. I'm a little bit older now, so I know how to just be myself no matter what I'm doing, and make the people more adaptable to who I am and what I'm doing. That's something I learned over my years. So I don't do too much adjusting anymore.
So to that end, like I want to know how you were adjusting and creating this project, because it's short. You know what I'm saying? It's 10 tracks, but it's like 9 different producers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of them are bringing their own ideas, their own thing, but it still sounded like it all made sense together. So What was it like adjusting, and how did that even happen? Because we don't really see that too often where it's like, hey man, you got more producers than tracks on the album.
Yeah. I think Capital Gains, I pat myself on the back for as being one of the more concise projects in a very long time. I don't think it could afford any other element, and I don't think it's short of any element. We nailed it. It's concise. We covered a lot of ground, and now in those 10 tracks, you can go back. I tell people all the time, listen to Capital Gains right now. I'm pretty sure, I'm more than sure, as a matter of fact, you're going to catch more punchlines and references and ideas that you missed the first time. You probably got to sit with it 2 or 3, 4, 5 times before you can even appreciate it in its entirety. It's like a crab beer. What's the notes in that? You like, take some coffee, but you ain't know some coriander in there. You didn't know that, but so you another sip, and then you warm it up, and then you take another. Oh, there we go. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how the project is. It's complex in that way. It's layered in that way. So yeah, definitely. I think having the different producers, even the features as well, those are all guys who I've been working with throughout my whole career for the most part. Capital Gains is a reunion album. My man V Dawn, he been making music since like 2012. You know what I'm saying? Me and Currency first got in the studio back in 2009. Me and Action Bronson, 2012. You know what I mean? Me and Alchemist, 2011, 2012. So I got everybody that I've been used to working with over time and put them all on one plate. So it was a reunion album. It's pretty dope.
Cool. You mentioned a lot of those names, man, and I'm sure that goes into it, the relationships thing. But a lot of people got hip to you initially through the major deal and your affiliation with the affiliates.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, moving on, you've done so many things as a businessman, as a label head, as all of those things. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like this project as an indie was one of them ones who was like, let me go ahead and call in these favors. This is shaping up to be one of them ones. Let me go ahead and call in this piece. Let me call my man. I ain't called him in like 5 years. I need you to jump on this one. So was it a feeling like this is going to be something, you know?
Yeah, possibly. I talked to someone else about this in another interview, as a matter of fact. Like, I'm one of those artists where I don't like calling in favors. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But that's a lot. But that's important to a lot of records you may hear, a lot of movements you may see. Like, calling in those favors is priceless. What I like to do is just be organically in tune with my people. Like, even if I'm not calling in a favor, I still reach out to my brother to say, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? New track is fire. New video is fire. Or I go download their records. You know what I'm saying? I stream their records. I purchase them. I watch the video 3, 4, 5 times. You know, I keep in touch with everybody who I respect. So Capital Gains is a bunch of organic relationships. You know what I'm saying? I talk to Rock Marcy all the time. I talk to Alchemist every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Me and V Don talk damn near every day. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it wasn't a reach to call the favor because those are guys who I'm in communication with all the time. But to your point, yeah, I definitely knew now is the time to sound the alarm and bring everybody together to get behind this project. And I just want to shout everybody out and say thank you. I appreciate everybody for jumping down. These are guys I've worked with for a long time, and when I needed them, they showed up for me. So it's crazy.
Dope. The Egregious video, the album artwork, the single artwork, it's very muted. It's kind of like a balance between dark and nostalgic at the same time. Like, yeah. What was the inspiration behind that through line between everything you've been putting out with the project? Yeah.
I wanted to tap into that vein, like the intense times the stock markets crashed back in the 80s. It reminded me what's going on right now with the pandemic, the economic impact. It's like today's times are mirroring the time back then. So the crime went up, poverty went up, you know, unemployment went up. It's kind of what's going on right now. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a time capsule, things like it was like a reference to what happened back then, right now. And as I was digging for more content and creating more music, I was like, these are parallel times. We've seen this before. You know what I mean? So kind of everything's playing out the same way. And then like economic empowerment was the thing that rescued everybody from that space. And I know right now what's going on as Black people, economic empowerment is very important right now too. No matter you realize it or not, no matter what you think about, I don't know what platform you basing your perspective on, but no matter what's going on socially, no matter what's going on with racism, with the election, everything like that, if you're taking care of your business, you're taking care of your issue, it'll insulate you from the damage of what's going on right now. And I think that was a pull from that whole thing, learning from what happened back then and tipping my hat to the artistic vision what happened back then and making that appropriate for what's going on right now and relevancy.
So let's talk about the role that you're playing in that actively right now. You know what I'm saying? You brought it up at the top of the conversation about, that you kind of just threw it out there. Oh, yeah, I was building these companies, you know what I'm saying? But tell us a little bit more about what you've been up to in that vein, man.
Yeah. In Grand Rapids in West Michigan, me and my partners, we launched several businesses right now where we making a real big impact up there in the economic community and the business community. We have a spirits company called Motu Vijay Spirits. We are probably the fastest growing craft, not minority owned, Black owned craft spirits company in the state of Michigan right now. We just secured 200 placements for Motu Vijay over the last 6 months. So that's all in the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. You can get it online too at motuvijayspirits.com.
Go ahead and spell it out.
Yes, sir. MOTUVIGET, motuvijayspirits.com. You can get it delivered to your home. FedEx be there about 2 days. But it's a sparkling wine champagne that's pretty much tearing this whole lane through the community up there. We in bars, restaurants, stores, on premise, off premise, retail. We're doing really good with that. We just signed a new deal with the biggest grocer in the whole Midwest for 60 placements throughout the region right now. It's a landmark deal, never been done before by a Black-owned company. We're probably the only Black spirits company in those stores in Michigan right now. Looking to expand. We have a vodka we released as well last year with a distillery called Long Road Distillers. So I partner with that. They got 2 distilleries in Michigan, one in West Michigan and one out in Detroit. and that's doing really well as well. Really excited about that. Also, we have a nightclub. It's called Ambiance. Full kitchen, full dance floor, lounge, drinks, parties, VIP, everything. Of course, the COVID delayed the process on that, but we're hoping to open up by the holidays, by Christmas, New Year's. But excited about that. $1 million project, $900,000 project went into rebuilding this whole dead space and making it our own. And we're looking really forward to serving the community with that one. Also got into tech investments as well. I'm on a board of an initiative called Midwest Tech. And what we do is we provide access to tech jobs for the youth in troubled communities. And our recent initiative is called TechX. And what we're doing is we're providing training in tech jobs for repeat offenders, ex-offenders, people coming home from jail, so they can get training in jobs of the future. So robotics, STEM, and stuff like that. I'm one of the board members and owner of that initiative as well. So really excited about that. Further in tech as well, I'm an owner, stockholder in a DSP. It's called Radiator. It's like geolocation app for independent artists. So it's kind of like Spotify meets Google Maps. So if you're out and about, let's say you get off the plane on a business trip and you're in Oakland, for that matter. All the locals, I don't like using the word local because I want to say more emerging and up and coming independent acts out of Oakland will appear on the playlist there. And we offering a report to the publishing, so they're getting their publishing money from us as well. They're getting exposure. They can put their albums up. They can put their gigs, all the shows they're doing up as well. And it's based on geolocation. So if you look at it, it's like a map. You can zoom in on a certain area. All of the artists that are in that area start playing on your playlist. You zoom in, you zoom out. You get more if you zoom out. You get less if you zoom in. Different genres, R&B, hip-hop, folk, everything underneath the sun. You know what I'm saying? And then that's another multi-million-dollar build-out as well. But I'm an owner of that company too. We're looking to service everybody real soon. We also have a media app coming through for that. It's called Radiator Aux. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. But we're making sure brothers get their write-ups. They get like how you guys are doing for me. Capital Gains is doing well, and I appreciate y'all reaching out when you talk about it. But independent artists don't get a lot of that, So doing a whole platform so they can come and talk about their albums, interviews, videos. It's my way of giving back to independent artists because I am an independent artist from a secondary market. Grand Rapids, it's not Detroit, it ain't Atlanta, and it ain't LA, and it ain't New York. So making your voice heard coming out from secondary markets virtually impossible before social media hit. But even with social media, now you still got the window because playlists and things of that nature, It gets political, it gets business. And if you're not in the right place at the right time with the right connections, with the right whatever it may be, you just got your 300 followers and you lit. You know what I'm saying? But how do we expand that? Because there's some guy out there with 300 followers coming out of St. Louis who's the next big thing. And he deserves just as much acclaim and attention as the guy with the record deal does,
Absolutely.
Hey, y'all can't see Willie, but Willie was doing the Ted DiBiase goatee rub the whole time he was talking.
money.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. You know what I mean? It's all organic, It's all organic. Yeah, man, just trying to set up businesses that reflect my personal experience, that reflect the things I care about and the people I care about. Whether it's my cousin coming home from jail, can't find gainful employment via TechX, or whether it's my homeboy trying to start his rap career coming out of Macon, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Like through Radiator. So it's just all about providing a space that the things I've been through, I want to start to get in front of the business, get on the right side of the business that I've been involved in pretty much my whole career.
For sure. I'm glad you mentioned your hometown of Grand Rapids. Like we've been hearing, Detroit stories, the stories of artists from Detroit, for at this point, it's been decades.
Right.
At this point. But, we haven't really heard that story out of a lot of the secondary markets out of the Midwest. I'm sure that's, as you mentioned, it's a challenge to come out of a secondary market. But what was it like growing up in Grand Rapids for you, especially as somebody who embraced hip hop from a very, very early age?
Yes, sir. I had the blessing. My mother, my older brother, my family, they from New York. So I was in New York summers, spring break, holidays, all the time. And the things that I saw out there, the things I experienced out there, would bring back to my neighborhood in Grand Rapids. Like we used to get the Source magazine and all the clothes in there, like all the designer lines. They didn't sell that stuff in Grand Rapids, you know what I'm saying? But I'll go out there and come back with some Maurice Malone. Like, damn, where you get that at? Shit like that. Oh, some Dada or whatever, some Carl Canal, whatever it may be, you know, growing up in the early 90s, all that type of stuff. It's like, yo, I was bringing all them flavors back. So my connection through the culture via that stuff was the same thing that connected me with the music. So I would see people out and about different rappers, you know, in the city and stuff like that in New York. My eyes is wide, like, this is crazy. But I would bring all that inspiration back to Grand Rapids. And I was kind of like I was saying about Radiator. I was one of those guys as a young man wanting to aspire to be someone who I seen in the Source magazine, but didn't have the outlet to do it, you know. And then when my brother got his record deal, you know, affiliated with the Wu-Tang, and I was like middle school at the time, about to go into high school, I was excited, like, okay, this is a real thing that we can do. And, you know, of course, my mom's wasn't having all that rap. He's finna, like, I saw Rakim. He told his mom he's gonna drop out of school to be a rapper, and she let him do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's I never knew he was like 17 years old. He was, you know, I'm paying him for. He was a kid. I didn't know that. I thought he was a grown man the whole time. But not the sidetrack. But my mom wasn't having it, so I had to go to college. You know what I'm saying? So went to school, and then the blessing was the people who I met at college were actually my introduction into the music business. So it worked out perfectly. I always had the light, had the inspiration, and I probably had more access to the culture that anybody in my community had. So that let me know that this is a possibility. I'm not just some guy dreaming about it, I'm seeing it. And then my brother got on, I'm really seeing it. You know, I remember being on the phone with Raekwon when I was a kid and seeing Method Man when I was a kid. Like, what's up, Lil Will, giving me bear hug. Like, okay, I'm really on my way. You know what I mean? It wasn't just a dream. I had that real access to it. So I think that may have separated me from the next guy in the secondary market who didn't have that same access.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That's a blessing.
Yeah,
you know, for sure. I got to ask you this, especially because you're from Grand Rapids. Any funny Mayweather stories?
Nah, I don't have any personally. His that's my cousin through marriage. Grand Rapids is a small town, so our community, the black community, of course, you're probably 2 or 3 cousins from another cousin from another cousin. Like your man you went to school with is probably married to your stepdad's sister. You know, it's like that type of thing. So Floyd and I share a cousin, so I knew Floyd just on a family level growing up as a kid. But the things that he did coming up, he was a little bit older than me, so I wasn't in them same spaces. But a legend, definitely a legend by far. You know, he came a long way from our small town, you know what I'm saying, to being where he is today. True inspiration.
Absolutely. Another thing that you're working on, you know, outside of the music is you're co-executive producing a documentary on Langston Hughes, man. I know you've been working on it for a little minute now, and it's, you know, you got people like Datari Turner attached to it and all of that. So speak a little bit about your involvement in that doc.
Yeah, my man Jonathan Jelks is my business partner in pretty much all my businesses. We've been working together since, you know, back in the Phillies days. He's from my town, Grand Rapids. His father is a professor, Dr. Randall Jelks, down in Kansas, and he basically got the idea to bring scholars together, some laureates, some artists together, and tell their story. Now, we all know about the Harlem Renaissance, but Langston Hughes being a primary face of the Harlem Renaissance, actually the voice of the Harlem Renaissance, not only represents the experience as an African-American, but for me as an artist, he represents the forefather of being a rapper, if you ask me. He told our experiences in poetic form before anybody did. And he's one of the first people from my studies and my research that made money off of rap. So before the record labels, before Sugar Hill Gang, before all the forefathers, before the golden era of the 90s and going forward, he was a guy that was traveling state to state, city to city, and even outside the country, making money from his poetry, telling our stories and telling our experiences. So I'm inspired to be a part of that. What I bring to the table is connecting that story and that narrative with the modern day culture or modern day experience. I don't want this to be a scholastic academic film that doesn't have any impact with the young men 19, 20 years old, or the older guys 30, 35 years old who may like Willie the Kid hip hop or may like the baby hip hop, but then you got Langston Hughes just sitting here as, oh, that's old black history. We got to make that connection. I remember growing up when Spike Lee did the Malcolm X picture, you know, with Denzel. I remember that being important to the community. We all had X hats on, and brothers was really representing Malcolm X. Like, you know what I mean? That was just, Malcolm became just as important as the rappers at the time. Not that some of us was blessed to have that in our households, but some of us wasn't. But I think with Langston Hughes, with his story and how important he was to our legacy as black people and as black artists, it needs to be told in proper form. So I'm on board to make sure, you know, the film is put together in the right way. Of course, like I said, the Datari is on board. It's going to be really exciting. look forward for that real soon. We're gonna tell that story and really cement his legacy for this new generation.
So remind us where people are gonna be able to see it at.
Well, right now we signed with PBS with it, but I think we're gonna start shopping it in a couple other places as well, and make a whole conglomerate and get I don't want to spoil anything, speak too soon, but we're gonna get a whole power team together to make sure no one misses this film.
That's awesome. So man, you know, listening to your music, I feel like it's pretty obvious, and then even in your conversation, you're a very knowledgeable person, man. What kind of content we can just talk about during the pandemic? What kind of content, whether it be visual, listening, or reading, are you taking in that's kind of informing you right now?
You know what? I watch a lot of YouTube, man, a lot. And YouTube is a rabbit hole, man. You look at one interview and they suggest something else, and and I get up and do some work and then go back to what I was watching, and now there's more suggestions on some things. You know what I'm saying? So I've been watching a lot of YouTube content, a lot of things about what's going on with the election, of course, a lot of things what's going on in hip hop, and a lot of stuff is going on. Like what they're doing now is a lot of the stories in the culture, whether it's like, you know, street shit or whether it's music. A lot of those guys, they were locked up or they passed away. So the guys that were around them now, they're starting to really start telling these stories a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And those, they're not on big platforms, but there's a couple of YouTubers, content creators, you know, a lot of these guys that are telling the stories of our experience. Whether you grew up in LA or New York or Detroit or Chicago, or whatever, it's a lot of guys speaking on a lot of important things right now. And I've been watching a lot of those, you know, documentaries and interviews and just keeping up on what's going on, you know, as far as the legacy that was laid out before, whether it's positive or negative, but keeping it in tune with that, you know, a variety of stuff. You know, I'm a horror movie guy, so I watch a lot of horror films, stuff like that, you know. I don't know, random things, man, random stuff, all kind of stuff. Nature documentary, I watch a lot of nature documentary stuff about the ocean and all that. I'll be all over, man. Wherever the YouTube suggests, I go down a whole rabbit hole for an hour. You know, 30-minute clips of hyenas, you know, hunting zebras. I watched 8 of those videos in a row, and then pigeonhole to something else after that. So my brain is always all over the place, man. But yeah,
got you. All good.
Mm-hmm.
You've been dropping pretty much, you know, once a year for a minute, which, you know, I think a lot of artists now in the streaming age are trying to get on that platform, but you've been doing it for a minute. Like, what are some of the benefits and challenges to being that prolific with the releases?
The best thing I can say is that the streams don't go anywhere. So you put an album out last year, someone today can go on their phone and just listen to it like it just came out. You know, it always be here. It streams all the time. It could be like a young person, you know, at school with their headphones in all day playing Future new album, and it's just going all day. You don't gotta go home and listen to it in certain space in certain time. You know how we grew up. You gotta be in the car at the crib with the stereo. You know, or Walkman, some Discman or whatever you may have. But I'm talking about now, it's like on your phone, constant streaming. So the best part of that is I drop the music and certain people run to it that may be following me, but I feel like I get new fans every day. People come through my phone, my DM, and tell me that. Like, bro, I never heard you before. You're incredible. You're amazing. Oh, my God. I'm going through your catalog right now. I can't believe you put all this music out. I bump into some old friends like, yo, man, we put some new music out. I dropped last week. Word. Like, they go to Spotify, and it's probably been 10 albums since they last heard the last album. That's good. But, you know, on the flip side, you know, like I was saying, the temperature right now, things are disposable. You can bleed your heart out on a record. And I mean, you could offer up a liver on a record. You know what I'm saying? And people are going to love it to death for a week. You know what I'm saying? Because of so much content that's coming out. It's constantly going. So it's like, how much do you give? You know what I mean? I give a lot. And I know when I'm dead and gone, it's still gonna be. It's my son will be eating off of that. It's publishing. You know what I'm saying? I own all my music. I own all my masters. I own the rights to everything. So I know if I drop a lot, it'll be a lot to eat off later. Look at Pop when he died, all that music that came out. Yeah. We didn't even have streaming at that time, but look at how it kept him alive and when he was long around anymore. Same thing like Dilla. People was coming to me when Dilla passed away, God bless Pop, and God bless Dilla too. But people was coming telling me, like, they never heard of him before. He had records with Janet Jackson and Tribe Called Quest, and you never even heard of him before. But when he died, all that unreleased music flooded YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It flooded all of these spaces. So I think the streaming is a good idea right now for artists like myself, because I can keep creating and keep creating and keep creating and just look up and have a whole catalog, a whole masterpiece, a gallery of my product. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good thing.
Yeah, nah, for sure, man. It says something to be prolific, especially in this day and age, because people running out of stuff to talk about.
So sometimes you want to be like, bro, it's okay to be quiet for a while.
Shut up.
You can be quiet.
Be quiet, sit down, right? Nah, sit down. But nah, man, I really thank God. It's a blessing to be able to be here this long. You know what I'm saying? I when I first started doing music, it was the ringtone era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I first started doing professional music, I should say. I've been rapping since I was a kid, but like my first published music, it was the ringtone era. And that had nothing to do with, my specialty. Ringtones winning. I wasn't making ringtone music. So I couldn't, but I came from that space and then pivoted over to the blog era. Shout out to Not Writing, Two Dope Boys, On Smash. I propelled tremendously during that era. Yeah. Then that pivoted. Now we're in the streaming era, playlist era, and I'm still here. Capital Gains, one of the hottest albums out right now. I'm still standing right here, still whole, still looking young. I'm chilling. You know what I mean? So if you think about it, being prolific has its benefits. And I think that I'll still be here a lot longer as I pivot into other avenues, but I'm going to always return and put that music in the forefront,
For sure. You were one of the, I won't say one of the first, you are one of the artists who has done the one producer thing for a project, a few times and whatnot. What is your take on this? Why do you think this has become popular now?
I don't know. I mean, minus person. I'm gonna tell you, I am one of the first, minus the formal groups. Of course, you got your games, you got your formal group, like Domino and Battle Cat did a whole album. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about like outside of that space, like this wave we're in right now. I'm a father of that, B. I'm a father of that. I've been doing that for about 8 years, even making a 7-track EPs with a single producer and me together. I've been doing that for a long time. I fathered that about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, maybe more. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's working now because people are realizing it's good chemistry. That's one thing I noticed immediately. Like if we do an album and somebody just chip they 5% on the album, that's good. But that artist, that producer may have more to offer to this plate. So let's just get a whole plate sorted out. Let's do 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these. And you can really get busy with it, especially the great producers, the good ones, not just beat makers, but the producers. They need a wide platform to paint on. You can't just give a brother a paintbrush and just paint in the corner of your picture. Give a brother a whole canvas and you're gonna get way more from the artist. And then that in turn inspires me to give more. So now we got a beautiful plate with just me and this single producer. I think a lot of people are realizing that's a cool way to go. And a lot of times I think producers deserve more credit for what they bring to these albums and what they bring to these records. I think that too. And I think that doing these single artist producer plates allows the producer to get more flowers that way. So they're just saying that one song, look, he did 8 songs. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially the new guys, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a good way to let brothers get their shine and showcase these producers.
For sure. Who have you not done one with that you would like to see? One producer you would like to sit down with and create a whole project?
Great question. Great question. That I haven't worked with yet. I think it'd be dope to work with like a Just Blaze. Mm-hmm. It'd be dope to work with like RZA. It'd be dope to work with Havoc. And it'd be really dope to work with like Pete Rock or Q-Tip, like somebody like that. They got that native tongue sound. Like I think that'd be really crazy. That'd be really crazy. Yeah, I'll take either one. That'd be crazy. Yeah.
For sure. Man, please tell people where they can find you and where they can support the music, man.
Yeah, all my social media is the Willie the Kid, the King's English, THEWILLETHEKID. That's Instagram, that's Twitter, Facebook as well. And then Motu VJ Spirits, again, make sure you support us and what we're doing. Follow us on Instagram at Motu, MOTU_spirits. You can follow GRUSA Apparel. This is our line as well. We're the premier merchandising brand. We do stuff for the city. We do stuff for the schools. We do stuff for pretty much anything government based, and also just retail for the people to support us. But GR_USA, and follow Radiator Music as well. Especially if you're an upcoming artist, send us a DM so we can get your catalog uploaded on the platform, start getting you paid, and get you some exposure. But yeah, appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah, I just ordered me 2 bottles, goddamn. You know,
my G.
Got the confirmation email.
Yes, sir. Yes,
knocking at your door real soon. Next bottle share, I'm gonna bring something through. Next bottle share. I had a case, but my family just ripped me off. Yeah, I'm gonna hold the next case back. I'm bringing the next bottle share. I got it.
You know how that go, man.
Oh, that's that. I looked up, it was 2 left. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brother, appreciate you, my man. Appreciate
you
you dropping all this dope music. Appreciate you sitting down with us, man. And wishing you nothing but success with all your ventures, brother.
Appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all. Appreciate it, brother.
For sure, man.
Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening on on whatever your favorite podcasting app is. Thank you for watching on Live Hip Hop Daily. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Let us know what you're thinking of the podcast. Let us know what you're thinking of the content. Talk to us. We'll talk back. We'll see you next week with another dope show. Peace.
Peace.